Ready to bust out of here?
Yes.
We're leaving the hospital. It feels so good to finally bust out of there. Oh my gosh. It felt like we were waiting for 2 hours for the wheelchair.
Yeah, that discharge process was
Yeah.
doozy.
It feels like it's always a really long discharge process though. I'm just sitting back here with little Miss Thora, making sure she's handling the ride home because it is kind of far away. So just want to make sure she's handling everything well. But yeah, we do have quite a story about the final moments before she made her appearance. And we'll get to telling you all that once we get home and get settled in and everything. And oh my gosh, Kieran's gonna meet his baby sister. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. Just so darling. You look like you want to fall asleep too. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, just before 8 a.m. We are getting ready to head out to Thora's pediatrician appointment. So we're gonna get that, all wrapped up, and then, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Can't even think properly. We'll get to telling you all about how she came into the world. Excuse me while I shovel my face full of lactation cookies. I am constantly starving. I actually made these gluten-free. What you can do is take any lactation cookie recipe, and I used almond flour instead of like regular flour because I can't have gluten. I also read that almond is really good for producing breast milk, so win-win. I'm ravenous. Just ignore me eating this. I swear to you, I'm not trying to become a mukbang channel. Anyway, that was the most reassuring pediatrician appointment I have ever been to. I was really thrilled to hear just how wonderfully healthy and perfect our daughter is. She's only down 1 ounce from her birth weight, which is phenomenal for a primarily breastfed baby. That's what the pediatrician was telling me. And she's just like super alert and active and like tracking things. And the pediatrician said she was named very aptly. Like her personality matches her name perfectly. She's like, I'm afraid you're going to be having a baby that's going to be running before she ever crawls. So it just felt really, really good to hear that she's just like perfectly healthy, because we did have some scares during her labor just before she was born. And I'll get around to telling you about that. We're just gonna wait till Kieran goes down for a nap. So,
Where to start?
well, we could start with the fact that I won the hair color bet.
Yes.
We could also start with the fact that we're both immensely sleep deprived.
Yes.
That was pretty funny though. Like, we weren't really available to return comments, just gave birth and everything, but we were reading through some of them and we saw that there was like a team ginger and team brunette going on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, a lot more people were Team Ginger. They were on your team. And I think I saw maybe 3 people that were like, no, she's gonna be brunette. I was like, yeah. Well, congratulations to Team Brunette. We won.
But Team Ginger, we might still have a chance.
In a couple of years, please. Give me a rest. That was really nice, though. I won my 2 sushi dates, which I definitely already cashed in on.
It was really good.
Was it 2 days in a row that I was like,
yes.
Yeah. I had like 9 months to make up for. Everything else, though, we, I think we pretty much agreed about like her weight and her height and everything. She's a little bit shorter than I thought she would be. 19.9 inches, not 20. 19.9, and then 7 pounds, 8 ounces, 8.5 ounces, and only lost 1 ounce a week later. So that's really, really good. Really, really impressive. She's a little piranha. Whether it's the bottle or the boob. So I think we left off on the birth vlog. I had just gotten the epidural, and then things got crazy. Yeah. She was born like 3 hours later, basically. Yeah. I think, what did they say? I was still at 3.5.
Well, you got to 4, because they first, at least when I was, I don't know.
Right, she said 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
And that's when they placed the epidural. I remember the anesthesiologist, is that what they're called? He was amazing, because we told him about the experience with Kieran and how they placed the epidural. It wasn't working at all. I was still in a lot of pain, and then they did a bolus, and then I was completely paralyzed, almost like my arms weren't working either, and I couldn't move like from the chest down. And that was a really scary experience for me, and that it took 5 hours to wear off. And he's like, that should never have happened to you. I'm sorry that that happened. So they were very, very cautious in placing my epidural with this labor, and it was just the perfect amount. I was still able to move, definitely able to move my upper body and help with turning and everything. So that was just the best epidural experience that I could hope for, because it really came in handy when things went a bit south.
Yeah.
So things progressed very quickly. I do know that most of my pain had been in my back, so laying on my back, or on my side rather, was pretty comfortable, and then the contractions moved to the front, so it was really bad in the front. So I called, the nurse came in and she said, okay, so since it's in your front, this epidural works by gravity. We need you to lay on your stomach and like don't worry about hurting the baby. She's already like way down in your pelvis. So they had me flip to my left side, so my chest was flat but my belly was still kind of sideways. And then they had the peanut ball, so my hips were like really wide open. And she said, this is gonna help like get the epidural into the area where you need it, and then hopefully open up your hips so baby can make her way out. And that was perfect. Like within 10 minutes, I wanna say, the pain was gone. Were you sleeping during all of that? Probably, because
yeah,
it was like,
it was late.
it was like 2 in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. I remember trying to get a little bit of sleep after that myself, but I just felt Thora use her legs to push against, like it felt like she pushed against my ribs, and I felt her descend into my pelvis. And I called the nurse in and I was like, I feel like she's trying to come out. And she's like, okay, well, let's call the doctor in and we'll check your cervix to see how dilated and effaced you are. But let's get you on your back in the meantime. So we moved me to my back. And then the doctor comes in and she checks me and she's like, congratulations, you are 10 centimeters dilated and fully effaced. Like, we're gonna call your doctor and you're gonna have a baby any minute now. So then I'm hollering at Kameron, it's go time.
Yeah. So I'm waking up. I feel like my breath smells. And I know the and I know the last couple of times, like when we gave birth, I was like right here, like helping her push. So I was like, I don't want bad breath in her face while she's trying to like push the baby out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I went to go brush my teeth, and then
you came out to chaos, didn't you?
Yeah.
While he was in the bathroom brushing his teeth, apparently Thora did not like me being on my back at all, because her heart rate decelerated rapidly, like down into double. Did you happen to see the number? Was it like...
I just know it was below the little line.
Yeah, it was below 90 for sure. I never asked what it was in that moment because I was in such a state of like trauma response and PTSD that I did not want to know how low it had dipped, but it definitely, if it was below the red line, it was below 90. The nurse and the doctor get super quiet, and then suddenly she presses a button. She's like, okay, Stefanie, baby's really not liking this position you're in. Like, even just recalling it's like a trauma response. Just take a second. Okay, where was I? Nurse Laura, right? Laura. I really liked her. We were both gingers, and she said, oh, we could be sisters because we both have the red bangs. Anyway, she came up right next to me. She's like, okay, Stefanie, I need you to flip over because baby really does not like this position that you're in, and I need you to help me. I don't know how, with an epidural placed, I found this strength to flip myself so quickly onto my hands and knees. And she said, okay, Stefanie, there's about to be a bunch of people in the room right now. They're just here to help. We're just, you know, gonna try to make everything better for baby right now. I'm gonna try to find her heart rate because she was way down in my pelvis, so she's putting the Doppler way down there. At this point, my heart rate has skyrocketed because of the anxiety. So they're putting the little thing to track my pulse, and they see the same number, like 130s. And they're like, okay, Stefanie, we don't know if we're picking up your heart rate or hers, so we need you to breathe and calm down. Like, bring your heart rate down so we can tell the difference between you and baby. So I'm like on the bed like this, shaking and like crying and breathing. And that's when you came out, right? Because my leg was like falling off the bed, and you came to my side, and I was like, leg, and then you put my leg up on the bed. But how was that for you, walking out of the bathroom to over a dozen people around me?
I had no idea what was going on when I walked out, and I saw, you know, like I said, 15 people in the room. Yeah. And I was like, what's going on? And then I started watching the monitors, and there was really nothing I could do because they were around you, you know, doing everything. So I just kind of sat back and was watching, and then, yeah, I pulled out my cross and started holding that in my hand and praying and just kind of seeing what, you know, taking it step by step. What a crazy experience, because Kameron, there was never a deceleration or any sort of emergency, but they told me that they were on the verge of getting me ready to get wheeled to the OR. Yeah. Because that's how long her heart rate had dipped. But once I flipped into that prone position, literally prone because my ass and everything is facing all these people uncovered. That's true. But luckily I was breathing and got my heart rate down, and they could see that hers was like around 125, and they're like, okay, good, everything's good, she's fine. And that's when the people started trickling out of the room because she had recovered from the deceleration. I was so scared to move from that position. I did not want to move out of that position. I was afraid of when our doctor would arrive, because they'd want you on your back to push. I was so afraid of it happening again. Stretches. So cute. But yeah, so they had me stay in that position. Of course, they covered me with my gown and a blanket for my dignity. But then my doctor showed up, and they told him what happened. They're like, okay, we'll have her on her side, you know, and she can push on her side because we haven't had any issues with me being on my side, just on my back. They are like, okay, we really want her to come out in this one contraction, if possible.
So we were waiting, and I guess I got so frightened that I staved off my contractions.
Yeah, you did.
And they're waiting. They're like, is one coming?
You got rid of your contractions
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
moment. I think they just started having you just push without the contractions.
Yeah. So I did one without a contraction, and then finally a contraction came, and they were like, okay, we need you to do as many back-to-back pushes as possible. So I did 3 pushes, and she was out.
Yep. Crying.
And then I was crying.
Yeah.
What a relief that was to have her placed on my chest, and she was just screaming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would have done if she would have been like Kameron, where he was just like, I don't really feel like talking right now. Come on, kid, we need you to scream. Stop it. Yeah, she was definitely loud coming out. So that was a major relief for me. I just felt all of that fear leaving my body as she laid on my chest, and it was probably the scariest and most wonderful experience.
Relief.
Yeah.
And then we were just taken back by the difference in...
Oh yeah, because Kameron was born at 35 weeks, and we're like, you're just gonna leave her on me?
I know. She stayed in the room. And then she never left. She was with us the whole time.
Yeah, we're like, you don't need her for anything?
Yeah.
You're not gonna whisk her away?
Yeah, Kameron was like, you get an hour and we're coming to get him. I was like, okay.
And then he was the one following around everywhere, signing papers, and I was paralyzed by that awful epidural for 5 hours. It was great. You know, we had our golden hour. She latched. It was everything you want your hospital birth to be.
We took her home in freaking 48 hours. It was very, I think that was very jarring.
Yeah.
Just because it was like with Kameron, he stayed, what did he stay? He stayed at the hospital for like almost 2 weeks.
9 days in the NICU.
So about 2 weeks he was there.
Yeah.
And this one, they were just like, oh, here's your baby. There you go. Goodbye. And it was like,
we're like, is this okay?
What? Yeah. It felt so weird just taking like it felt like right after the birth. I'm like, don't you need to keep monitoring her? There's a little bit more tests you have to do. They're like, no, she's fine, goodbye.
I mean, they did tests and everything.
Yeah, but
the hearing tests, the different blood tests, bilirubin tests, and everything. But they're like, nope, she's perfect. Enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that was. I think because of our last 2 experiences, with our first being a full-term stillbirth, and then our second with premature rupture of membranes, and me living at the hospital for 2 months and being born premature, and NICU time, and feeding difficulties, and just, everything that comes with being premature, like those difficulties, it just feels so jarring to have a normal, full-term, healthy infant.
Yeah.
And it's almost like too good to be true. But it's I'm starting to warm up to the idea that we're just having like the best, what's that word? I have the mom brain right now.
Our best life.
No, like the optimum experience, I guess. Like this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
But it feels really wonderful that we finally get to have a normal, healthy birth and newborn experience. Everything went off without a hitch, apart from that little bit of a scare,
I think the last week was a little bit of, we had the Monday, which was like, oh, we're having it Monday.
Yeah.
And then it was Thursday.
I don't like your blood pressure.
Yeah. And then Thursday was like, we're not waiting, we're having it today. And we're like, and then Friday morning, it's like, oh my God.
You might be having surgery.
Like a fire drill.
Yeah. Overall, best experience thus far. That's our birth story for Miss Thora Astor. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.